Hello everyone. My name is Maria Cristina A. Calo. I am a fourth-year student taking up Bachelor in Science Secondary Education major in Filipino. Together with my classmate, Ms. Thea Galope, we are going to report about organizational structure of the Department of Education. Now, before we proceed, I will show you first a quote. This quote is from Vince Lombardi. It says that the achievements of an organization are the results of the combined effort of every individual. This quote is definitely true because the success of any organization does not only depend on the hands of the leader alone, but because of the collaborative effort of everyone involved in a certain organization. Now, to start with, RA 9155 is known as Governance of Basic Education Act of 2001. Now, through the years, education in the Philippines has undergone several stages of development to cater the continuous needs and demands of our education system. This is the reason why RA 9155, or known as Governance of Basic Education Act of 2001, was created. By means of strengthening principal and leadership goals and school-based management within the context of transparency and local accountability. Now, it was on August 2001 wherein RA 9155 was passed or acted as a law. It is an act instituting a framework of governance of basic education, which means because of this law, certain changes or new outline was created in the Department of Education, establishing authority and accountability in renaming the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports, or DEX, as the Department of Education. Now, meaning RA 9155 is responsible not only in outlining the governance of basic education, but also in renaming the department from DEX to DepEd. Not only that, because our education has undergone several changes in renaming the department to a new one. Like for example, in 1975 going to 1978, the department was called Department of Education and Culture, headed by a secretary. And in 1978 up to 1984, it was called Ministry of Education and Culture. It was headed by the minister or by a minister. In 1984 up to 1986, it was called Ministry of Education, Culture, and Sports. Again, it was headed by a minister. And in 1987 up to 2001, it became Department of Education, Culture, and Sports. And then, finally, in 2001 up to present, it was called, of course, the Department of Education. Now, this RA 9155 has also other purposes, which later on we will know. Now, RA 9155, it provided a framework for the governance of education, decentralizing governance of the field, and making the schools and learning centers the heart of the education system, which means there is a need of reconstruction of governance to spread out or disseminate the authority or responsibility to make sure that all the subordinates of the department will work accordingly from the central office, down to the regional and then the local levels. And then the law also established the authority and accountability of various organization levels of the Department of Education. Now here in this slide this is the example of the organizational chart of the Department of Education. Now, on top, as you can see in the slide, is the office of the secretary, followed by the subordinate offices, rendering specific services. Just like, for example, the legal division that handles the administrative cases and also safeguarding the department's rights and interests, the school sites, and other legal matters. And then, under the office of the secretary also is the administrative service, the lower part after this box. And the administrative service, including the financial management service, human resource development service, planning service, and the technical service, including the three bureaus here, the middle part, the Bureau of Elementary Education, Bureau of Secondary Education, and Bureau of Non-Formal Education. Now, the lower parts are the centers and the units, which are also under the office of the secretary at the central office. Now, actually, as you can see in the slide at the lower part, at present, the total number of school division offices and total numbers of schools have already increased. Now, let's move forward. Let's move on to the Department of Education, the management structure. The first one is the central office. The central office maintains the overall administration of basic education at the national level, which means that the central office is liable or responsible for the management and basic education needs at the national level. Then the second one is the field offices. The field offices are responsible for the regional and local coordination and administration of the department's mandate. The field office's concern is to disseminate information, to manage the coordination and administration of the department's mandate from the Region 1 up to Region 17, including the Caraga region, National Capital Region, and also the ARMM, or the Autonomous Region of Muslims Mindanao. Now, RA 9155 provides that the department should have no more than 4 undersecretaries and 4 assistant secretaries, with at least 1 undersecretary, who are career service officers chosen among the staff of the department. Now, take note that the secretary is duly appointed by the president and the Commission on Appointments. But under the Executive Order number 292, the undersecretaries, including assistant secretaries of the department, shall, upon the nomination of the secretary of the department concerned, and be appointed by the president. Now let's talk about the areas of the undersecretaries. At present, the department operates with 4 undersecretaries in the areas of curriculum and instruction, finance and administration, governance and operations, and legal and legislative affairs. And four assistant secretaries in the areas of curriculum and instruction, finance and administration, governance and operations, legal and legislative affairs. Now, the office of the secretary at the central office are the different strands, has different strands, services, bureaus, and divisions. And let's start with five strands. They are the curriculum and instruction. Now, before that, these strands reflects the similarity of functions and objectives of offices and units. Now, to start, the curriculum and instruction is the first one. This strand ensures that the organization focuses on the delivery of a relevant, responsive, and effective basic education curriculum around which all other strands and offices provide. And then the finance administration. This strand ensures the efficiency to support the organization as a whole to focus on its core business and thus attain its targets and through the provision of finance and administrative services. Next is the governance and operations. This strand ensures the capacity of the organization to continuously improve and be strategic in managing the environment for which the teaching and learning takes place. It should. Now, the legal and legislative affairs. This strand enhances capacity of the organization to deal with the legal matters and to be proactive in moving forward its legislative agenda. The last one is the strategic management. Now, this strand enables the organization to focus on long-term directions and interface with the internal and external environment and stakeholders. Now we move on to the services. Now, the services provides the department with economical, efficient, and effective services relating to personnel is the administrative services. It talks about on the informations, records, and anything about the school. Like it also includes about the equipments, the furnitures, and other school supplies. And then the financial and management service, it's all about management of financial resources, determination of budget requirement or budgetary requirement, and accounting of the department's funds. I mean the department's funds. And then the human resource. The human resource, this will ensure that the Department of Education, of course, the hiring personnel, they are the one who will hire staffs for the department to make sure that they will work and manage the personnel who will manage different areas or offices to make sure that they are efficient and competent personnel. And then the development services, planning service, technical service. Then after the services is the bureaus. Now, bureaus provide assistance in formulating policies, standards, and programs related to curriculum and staff development. Now, the first one, Bureau of Elementary Education, is responsible for providing access and quality elementary education for all. It focuses on social services for the poor and directs public resources and efforts at socially disadvantaged regions and specific groups like IPs. Now, elementary school is very important stage of every child, since the child may evolve from young child to a self-conscious person. So that's why, if you notice, there are more elementary schools, particular in our communities, compared to secondary schools, especially in the remote areas. And then the second bureau is the Bureau of Secondary Education. The Bureau of Secondary Education is responsible for providing access and quality secondary education. Its aim is to enable every elementary graduate to access to secondary education. Now, it is because secondary education provides basic education that student must learn before going to higher studies or higher schools like college. And they can do that. They can be easily hired in jobs if they have acquired secondary education for those jobs that do not specifically requires college degree holder. So if they can't afford to go to college, they can still find job. Now, some elementary schools becomes integrated schools, just like in the far-flung areas, to make sure that elementary graduates can still access to secondary education, mostly in rural or remote areas. And then the third one is the Bureau of Non-Formal Education. Now, it is this bureau is responsible for contributing to the improvement of the poor through literacy and continuing education programs. Now, this bureau is also called as Bureau of Alternative Learning Center. As we all know it, it's ALS. So, it is called non-formal because educational activities are carried outside the framework of the formal school in order to help out of school youths or adult illiterates, so that those less fortunate or poor can access education. It will enable them to improve their life or the quality of their life. That's why we have vocational or technical trainings like literacy program or the just like what I've said, the alternative learning system or ALS, and also the TESDA and other form of non-formal education. Now, there are also centers and units which I have mentioned earlier in the organizational chart. First one is the National Education Testing and Research Center. Now, NETRC is for evaluation and assessment of effectiveness of education. Just like, for example, when we are still in elementary, we have NET or National Elementary Achievement Test. Or during our secondary school, we have NSAT. It's like a National Secondary Achievement Test. But at present, I think we only have NAT, the National Achievement Test. The next one is the Health and Nutrition Center, the HNC. Now this one, the concern of these units is about students' health and nutrition, of course, to reduce absenteeism and to make sure that school-age children are able to stay in school. The next one is National Educators Academy of the Philippines. They are going to respond to the demands of professional competency. An educational development project, implementing task force. This one is to this one is in charge or charged with function of implementing development projects on education. And then the other one is the National Science Teaching Instrumentation Center, or NSTIC. These are about the equipments or used for the performance of the high schools, like the laboratories, for the chemistry teachers, or for the biology subjects, that usually about laboratories. And then the last one is instructional materials council secretariats or secretariat, IMCS. IMCS provides technical assistance to the Instructional Materials Council in the formulation and adaptation of policies and guidelines in the development, evaluation, and procurement of textbooks and other instructional materials. And then, there are also other attached and support agencies. The first one is the Early Childhood Care and Development Council. Now, ECDC helps to improve school performance as well as reduce dropout and repetition rate, which ultimately reduce cost and improve efficiency of primary education. And then the National Book Development Board. And this one is it's like a book publishing industry, which was responsible for promoting continuing development of the book or book publishing industry in the Philippines, which of course it has an active participation of the private sector. It's very important. Now, the National Council for Children's Television, this is the lead agency mandated to promote and encourage the production and broadcast of children's television programs in the Philippines. And then, the National Museum. National Museum has been the regulatory and enforcement agency of the government of the Philippines in the restoring and safeguarding of important cultural properties, just our sites and reservations throughout the Philippines. And then the Philippine High School for Arts. It is also an attached agency of the Department of Education, which consults with Cultural Center of the Philippines for policy and program implementation. Aside from the basic education curriculum prescribed by the government, it offers various specializations, of course, in the field of arts. Now, there are also three coordinating councils. The first one is Adapt a School Program Coordinating Council. Now, as we all know, that government resources are simply not enough to provide free quality education for all the children. Therefore, we need generous hearts in the private sector to participate in nation building through investments in the education of Filipino children, just like sponsorship in buying a land to construct for schools. Then the next one is the Literacy Coordinating Council. It is a technical and administrative support in policy formulation and coordination of initiatives towards universalization of literacy in the Philippines. Now, the third one is the Teacher Education Council, or the TSC or TEC. Their mission actually is to educate and train teachers of unquestionable integrity and competence, and who are committed to their continuing professional growth and obligation to help their students grow as responsible individuals and citizens of the Philippines and, of course, of the world. Now, let's move on to the field offices under the subnational level. Now, there are 17 regional offices, including the Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, or the ARMM, each headed by a director, a regional secretary in the case of ARMM. Now, there are also 221 provincial and city schools divisions, each headed by a schools division superintendent. Now, assisting the schools division offices we have 2,602 school districts, each headed by a district supervisor. Now, under the supervision of the schools division offices are 62,605 schools. They are broken down as follows. Now, in elementary schools, we have 49,209 schools and 38,648 are public schools and 10,561 belongs to the private schools. In the remaining schools, we have 13,396 for the secondary schools, wherein 7,976 are for the public schools, and 5,420 belongs to the private schools. Now, let's move on to the implementing rules and regulations principles. The Department of Education must serve the students and the teachers, its primary constituents. Yes, because their primary concern is to give quality education for all Filipino children and teachers. Teachers couldn't do it without the help and assistance of the Department of Education. And then, the principal, schools, administrators, and teachers in charge must exercise instructional leadership and sound administrative management of the school. Now, the person in charge of managing the school must have a plan on how to improve the quality of teaching and acquire relevant school supplies that will benefit, of course, the students. So that students will have meaningful learning. For example, coaching for teachers or fundraising and giving our specific budget allocation for teachers seminars and training, something like that. Now, the school is the heart of the formal education system. Definitely. Because the school provides systematic way of teaching, wherein children will be able to acquire and develop skill and knowledge, of course, the values, for them to become a productive member of the society. Now, the parents and the community shall be encouraged for active involvement. Now, parents and community is, of course, must be active and cooperative in helping the school with regards to their needs, so that schools will have strong force to fulfill their vision and mission. For example, the Parents and Teachers Association, they could have special projects to maximize the limited resources of the school. Now, we've been talking about the secretary of the department. So now, I will show you, let's be acquainted with, of course, the secretary of the Department of Education, Madame Leonor Briones, the secretary of the Department of Education. Now, the secretary shall exercise overall authority and supervision over the operations of the entire department. So she's the one who manage the subordinates, to manage the department, to make the department successful and develop more progress. Now, under Section 7 in RA 9155 are the powers and duties and functions of the secretary. The first one is the um, um, formulating national educational policies. The second one is formulating a national basic educational plan. The third one, promulgating national educational standards. Fourth one is monitoring and assessing national learning outcomes. Now, in number 5, part of the rule or the powers and duties and functions of the secretary also is to undertaking national educational research and studies, enhancing the employment status, professional competence, welfare, and working conditions of all personnel of the department, and enhancing the total development of learners through local and national progress and projects. Now, that would be the end of my topics, and my partner, Ms. Thea Galope, will continue the report. Go, Thea! Let's wait for a while. Just my partner's preparing for her report for the continuation of my topic, which is implementing rules and regulations. Thea, are you ready?
Yes, Ms. Calo. Hi everyone, I'm Taylor Galope. I'll continue the report of Ms. Calo. So, implementing rules and regulations. So, the regional director, there shall be as many regional offices as may be provided by law. Each regional office have a director, an assistant director, and office staff for programs, promotion, and support, planning, administrative, legal, and fiscal services. So it is stipulated by law that every region in the Philippines there should have regional director, an assistant director, and office staff with a specific function mandated by law. So consistent with the national educational policies, plans, and standard, the regional director shall have authority, accountability, and responsibility for the following. So, Section 7, Power, Duties, and Function. So first one is defining a regional educational policy framework which reflects the values, needs, and expectations of the communities they serve. So aligned with the vision, mission, and core values of the Department of Education, every regional offices should distinguish or craft an educational policy framework that reflects the community they serve. So developing the regional basic educational plan. The third one is developing a regional educational standards with a view towards benchmarking for an international competitive needs. So the Department of Education, the regional director, should also make sure that the implementation or the educational standard should be competitive globally. So the fourth one is monitoring, evaluating, and assessing regional learning outcomes. So it is also the outlook of a regional director to monitor and evaluate and assess the learning outcomes of in every schools and or in every division of that part of his outlook. The fifth one is undertaking research projects, developing and managing region-wide projects which may be funded through officials development assistance and or other funding agencies. So it is also the function of the regional director to promote and encourage his or her members or teachers to undertake research projects which, which should be funded by the region. So number six is ensuring strict compliance with prescribed national criteria for the recruitment, selection, and training of all staff in the regional and division. So recruitment and selection of all staff, both in region and division, should strictly the prescribed national criteria. So it should not be because of what we call the backer system. So number seven is formulating in coordination with the regional development council the budget to support the regional educational plan which shall take into account the educational plans of division and district. So it is also the duty of the regional director to facilitate in formulating the budget for his or her region to support the educational plan of his of or her region. The next one is determining the organization component of division and district, approving the proposed pattern of all employees, the division and district. So it is also the outlook to determine the organization component, both division and district. So it is also the duty to approve proposed pattern in all employees in division and district offices. Next is hiring, placing, and evaluating all employees in the regional office except for the position of assistant director. So it is the duty to hire and evaluate all employees in the regional office except the assistant director position. So number 10 is evaluating all schools division superintendent and assistant division superintendent in the region. So it is his or her duty to evaluate the performance of the school district superintendent and the assistant school district superintendent in the region. The next one is planning and managing the effective and efficient use of all personal position and fiscal resources of the regional office, including the professional staff development. So it is also the outlook of the regional director to make sure that the staff in the region office are doing their job and to be effective. So 12 is managing the database and managing information system of the regional. 13 is approving the establishment of public and private elementary and high school learning center. So it is also the lookout of our regional director to approve establishment building for both and public schools. The school division superintendent. So a division shall consist of a province of city which shall have a school division superintendent. There shall be at least one assistant school division superintendent and office staff for program promotion, planning, administrative, fiscal, legal, ancillary, and other supporting services. So in division, so we have four division office that is under the care of regional director. So the division of Misamis Oriental, division of Hingoog City, division of Cagayan de Oro City, division of El Salvador City. So in every division office, there is a division superintendent. So the school division superintendent, first one is developing and implementing vision educational development plan. So the school division superintendent will make sure that the implementation of school framework will be effective. So planning and managing the effective and efficient use of all personnel, position, and fiscal resources of the division office, including the professional staff development. So it is also the outlook of the division superintendent to make sure that all of the staff in the division office are doing their job to make the implementation effective. So third one is hiring, placing, and evaluating all division supervisor and school district supervisors as well as employees in the division, both teaching and non-teaching personnel, including school heads, except for the assistant superintendent division. So it is also the duty of uh, school division superintendent hiring all of the employees in all, also a duty of a SKS. The fourth, so the school district supervisor. As school district supervisors, as district shall have a school district supervisor and office staff for program promotion. The school's district supervisor shall primarily perform staff function and shall not exercise administrative supervision authorized by the proper authorities. So in every district, it should have a head which is school district supervisor and office staff. It is her duty to perform staff functions and it is not his or her duty to perform administrative supervision over school principal unless stipulated or authorized by the proper authorities. So the school district supervisor uh, functions first is providing professional and instructional advice and support to the school heads and teachers facilitators and learning centers in the district or cluster thereof. So the duty of the school district supervisor is to provide professional and instructional advice and support to the school heads, principal, and teacher of in his or her cluster. So the second one is curricula per supervision. So it is also the duty of supervisor to the curriculum implementations. So the third one is performing such other function assigned by the proper authorities. So to perform other duties or functions authorized by the proper authorities. The school head principal. So there shall be a school head for all public elementary schools and public high school or a cluster thereof. The establishment of integrated school from existing public elementary and public high school shall be encouraged, subject to the guidelines that will be issued for the proposed by the Secretary of Education. So in every school, there always be a principal or head teacher to supervise his or her teachers. So the function of school head and or principal is first one is setting the mission, vision, goal, and objectives of the school. So it is the function of the principal to set goals or vision to the school to be followed by the teachers or they will be as basis or goal in teaching and also in learning process. So second is creating an environment within the school that is conducive to teaching and learning. So it is also the function or duty of a school head to create environment within the school premises that is conducive for both teaching and learning. So the third one is implementing, monitoring, and assessing the school curricula and being accountable for higher learning outcomes. So the school heads also make sure the implementation and also monitoring and assist his or her teachers to have good learning outcomes. The fourth one is developing the school education program and school improvement plan. So it also the lookout of the school heads or principal to craft the school education program and school improvement plan. So the fifth one is offering educational program, project, and services which provide equitable opportunities for all learners in the community. She should also offer educational programs, projects, and services which can be provide equal opportunities for all learners in the community. So number six is introducing new and innovative modes of instruction to achieve learning outcomes. So it is also to introduce new and innovative modes of instruction to achieve learning outcomes. To make sure that the teacher will be guided to be innovative, like now that we are in the online classes, uh, the encourage his or her teacher to do their job or to be more flexible to get the good learning outcomes. So number seven is administering and managing all the personal, physical, and fiscal resources of the school. So it is also the function of to act as a manager to all of her personnel. She or he has the power to recommend a staff that is fit to the school needs. The number eight is recommending the staff and complement of the school based on its needs. The nine is encouraging and enhancing staff development. So it is also the duty of the school heads to encourage his or her staff to be enhanced or to be more flexible in their job. So 10 is establishing school and community networks and encouraging the active participation of teacher organization, non-academic, personnel of public schools, and parents, teachers, community association. So it is also her duty to create linkage of school and community and encourage the active participation for or teacher organizations and parents, teachers, community. So 11 is accepting donation gifts and grants in accordance with existing laws and policy of the department for the purpose of upgrading teachers, learning facilitator competences, improving and expanding school policies. So it is also the function of the school head to accept donation, gift, and grant allowed by the law to upgrade the teachers' competencies and improving the expanding schools facilities. So it happens with the some of organization giving some donation for like for example for building to be used by the students, books, and other school material, materials. Well, role is performing such other function as may be assigned by the secretary, regional director, and school division superintendent where they belong. So she can also perform other functions as long as it is assigned by the secretary or the regional director and school district superintendent where they belong. So these are the sources and reference where we get the information that we discussed earlier. And that would be all. Thank you.
Thank you.